Hey guys, it's Erica Danielle with Stories to Wake Up to, a new installment. And this week, the story is going to be personal and it is going to share with you all some of how I'm feeling, what's coming up for me as this Black Lives Matter movement starts to really gain some traction after all of these years. So I'll see you guys on the other side.
You are listening to She Kings with Erica and Allie. This is a podcast for peasants who don't want to live shitty lives. Every week we share insights on how to stop living out of habit and start living out of inspiration. So let's do this.
Oh, goodness. It's crazy for me as a Black woman to have so much trepidation about what I'm about to share. Um, I completely identify with our white brothers and sisters, um, my white brothers and sisters who are really struggling to kind of say the right thing right now. And I think just right out of the gate, there are some things about myself that I have to acknowledge in order for this episode to be the most honest it can possibly be. The first thing is, I obviously think that there is an answer to all of what's going on, and I definitely don't know what it is. I have no clue. Um, and yet, thoughts keep coming to me, inspiration keeps coming to me to talk about this. I also need to acknowledge that I tend to be a know it all. It's a trait that I brought with me from childhood. And along those lines, I think that sometimes what I have to say can come off very preachy and completely out of touch. But what I also know to be true is that everything that I have to say, at least here in this video/audio, is 1,000,000% from love. So this week in Stories to Wake Up to, I'm going to share a story from my own life. In 2015, I was living on tiny St. Martin, an island in the Caribbean, and I was lounging in my bed on a Saturday afternoon, and I don't know if it was social media or news, but something started like really beeping, and I started seeing the same story over and over again. And what happened was there was a party in Texas, a pool party or something like that. And at this pool in Texas, a number of Black teenagers had gathered, and someone called the police on these teenagers for essentially being Black at a community pool. And the police showed up, and a video was taken. And I'm going to guess it was by, a white kid, because all of the Black kids were being grabbed and wrestled to the ground. And there were just kids, like teenagers, running everywhere. I want to say they looked like they were like 14, 15 years old. So they were like pretty young. So these kids are just kind of running around, and these cops are grabbing these children. And the video focused basically on a cop putting his knee, his full weight, in the back of a teenage girl. And I just cried out. I was so saddened by what I saw. I was so hurt by it. And this rage came up in me. It was so strong. Surely it was the rage of my ancestors. The rage that, the pain, the sadness that is probably a part of the DNA of every Black person, um, perhaps in the world by now, considering our world history. Um, but I'll definitely speak for Black people who are descendants of American slaves. And on that day, I'm so emotional about this. I had to take a step back. And I had to because my own humanity was on the line. I was so filled with anger and rage. And so at that moment, I had to vow to myself that I would never watch another video of another Black or brown body being abused or killed again, because my heart could not take it. I vowed that I would not be arguing to anybody that my life mattered. Instead, I would live a life that mattered. And I vowed that I would not let the inhumanity of others make me so fucking angry that I would lose my own humanity. And so, along those lines, I also had to stop watching films that depicted the historical abuse of Black and brown bodies. And so, I took a step back, not from personal conversations, not for speaking up for what is right, but I took a step back from torturing myself. I took a step back from letting that rage, fanning the flames of my anger. And then again in 2016, when Trump was elected, I felt it all come back up again. I was devastated. I was like, this is unbelievable that there could be so many people in my home country who care so little for their fellow man, that they would vote for this guy, a person who, even if he wasn't a raging racist, he was divisive and so full of hate. I sat with it and I realized a couple things. First of all, these people who voted for him, many of them did not vote for him despite his hatred. Many of them voted for him precisely because of that negative, hateful energy that just covers his entire vibration. Precisely because of it. That's the guy they were looking for. They were running towards that energy because it resonated with something within them. And I also realized that for as much work as I had done since that day in 2015 when I saw that video of that little girl, I was still filled with a lot of anger and a lot of rage. And I was a lot closer to those Trump supporters than I would have liked to admit. And so, as I think about everything right now that is happening with Black Lives Matter and this movement that is taking over the world, I'm here in Amsterdam, people are marching. My girlfriend in Paris called me to say people are marching. They are coming together in solidarity with Black Americans, but also to stand up for what they know is right where they live. And that gives me a lot of hope. And my hope for Black and brown people who are still feeling this pain so deeply is that they would know that one, somehow, some way, these deaths have not been in vain. On so many levels, the fact that people are now rising up, that all of our tears have not been wasted. And that through all of this, somehow, Black folks have managed to keep their humanity intact. To not turn into the rageful, hateful, not be overtaken by the rageful, hateful energy projected towards them. And I would encourage Black and brown people to protect your heart. Protect your heart. When you find yourself, if you ever find yourself, where I was at a point where I could explain away anything. Like, well, shoulder shrug. You do that shit, that's the shit you get. That's what these hateful people are doing. They believe that their cause is so right that they have a right to lose their own humanity. Let's never, ever, 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 ever be that. And this is not pacifism. that's pronounced properly. This is not sitting down on the sidelines. This is knowing that there is immense power in making sure that you are peaceful inside of yourself. And still, no justice, no peace out there. You can still stand up and maintain your humanity. And to my white brothers and sisters, who I will tell you, I see y'all. A lot of you guys are really, really, really rising up. And let's keep it real, it's about fucking time. I want to be clear that when I took a step back from the hatred that was building in my heart, it wasn't because I wanted to love white people. It was because I love myself. And for white people who have let this be so distant from themselves for so long, for white people who continue to let this be distant, either by spiritual bypassing, by using bullshit like law of attraction. These people brought it into their lives and they want it to be different, it'll be different. For white people who are not yet ready to stand up, know this, not yet ready to be allies. Know this. This allyship from a spiritual perspective is not about you coming to the defense of your black and brown brothers and sisters. It's about standing up and rising up for yourself. Because if you can watch a man put his knee on the neck of another man until the life drains out from that other man, George Floyd, then there's something deeply broken inside of you if you can stay silent. There's something deeply broken inside of you if you could defend it. You have lost some part of your humanity. And so when you stand up as an ally, understand that first and foremost, you are standing up for your own humanity. And for my black brothers and sisters, my black and brown brothers and sisters, protect your heart. All right, guys. That's it for me. A girl who has no freaking clue what the answer is. A girl who can be preachy all day long. And a girl whose perspective can sometimes fly too far above the clouds. Yeah, that's all.